I am Brant in Phoenix, Arizona, and I am a lifelong Republican. Came of age during the era of 9/11 and George W. Bush, and so have been a faithful party member since then. Russia is trying to reenact or re-engage with their historical territorial ambitions. The designs that Russia has on Eastern Europe are well documented, and this follows their classic playbook, the efforts to seize Crimea, and that was done rather unceremoniously without a lot of international repercussion at that time. And of course, when you don't draw a clear line in the sand, that just emboldens these dictators, these thugs around the world to continue in their efforts. And I think that that's what we've seen in Eastern Ukraine today, is taking the next piece of that puzzle that they have had their eyes on for quite some time. I'm certainly supportive of efforts to provide additional aid to Ukraine. Bad things happen when America withdraws its influence from the world, and our influence has always been benign in nature. I spoke with people when I lived in Italy who were beneficiaries of the Marshall Plan and who saw what American leadership is at its best. The Biden administration has been vocal about supporting Ukraine, which I can get behind on that. My problem has been this incrementalism. If we had possibly come in with the full force of what we could have offered early on, we may not still be having this discussion in August of 2023. I also think that the presidency is a bully pulpit. I don't think that there has been an adequate case made to the American people in terms of why this is a just cause. One would be naive if they think that we can look inward in isolation and what happens around the world isn't going to come back and hit us at some point. I mean, one would have thought over the last 20 years that mindset would be gone, but for whatever reason, this isolationism is resurgent in our party. Republicans were the ones who demonstrated international leadership, and we had respect for the military, respect for NATO, and I would put myself in that camp in terms of foreign policy. It's been discouraging to see the way in which Republicans at this point have not only turned their backs on allies around the world, those who have had our best interests at heart, who have been friends for a century plus. I would look at it on two fronts. The strategic component of that is that our enemies are looking at the long game. And so while it's Ukraine right now, it will be another nation in the future. And that may be 5 years from now, that may be 10 years from now. But as we let thugs like Putin continue to engage in territorial ambitions across the European continent, we're going to have to confront them sooner or later. And so, in my estimation, it's better to confront them now in a principled manner before the stakes are too high, because certainly the implications will be greater for us as that westward push continues. But secondarily, I think that there's a moral component to it as well. So early on, of course, in the Russian entrance into Ukraine and the imagery that we saw in terms of hospitals and pregnant mothers having to flee with their newborn children, or people who just gave birth fleeing for their lives. There's a moral dimension to that we have to confront. You're either in the side of good or you're not. You can't be neutral in a situation like this.